Hello and welcome to this episode of Musical Chairs. I'm your host, Aaron Doenges, and as always, we have something special from the world of music to share with you guys. In this episode, we'll be showcasing the more extreme side of local music some of you might not be aware of. Later in the show, we'll even be shifting a bit and covering an exciting event for local comic book fans. We have a guest on our show today that is a key part of putting it all together for the Lafayette community. Please welcome Nick Maxson. Hey, Nick.
How you doing, Aaron?
Pretty good. Thanks for coming in.
Ooh, glad to be here.
So, a lot of these posters are mentioning the Doom Room. For someone that isn't aware, just what is the Doom Room?
The Doom Room is a name we use to promote shows, to put on shows. We started out doing mostly house shows. I'd say 80% of the shows we put on are house shows, which is where we set up the equipment in the basement. Recently, we've tried taking it outdoors and playing under the tree, called the tree stage.
Awesome.
But yeah, other than that, we've been breaking into the local bar scene, trying to promote shows out there. And what started out as mostly local Lafayette-centric bands, we've kind of reached out to surrounding communities, Kokomo, Indy, a lot of Chicago lately, just trying to get the more underground bands busted into a different scene.
Cool. So give me a brief history on how this all started. I know there was the Hilltop Fortress before the Doom Room.
Yeah.
What happened with that ending and starting up the Doom Room?
Well, from about, I want to say 2010 to 2013-ish, the Hilltop Fortress right over, it's on the west side, it's across the bridge here. They did house shows in a really dirty, nasty basement.
It was gross.
That place was pretty gross. But even before then, they did shows. They've kept the house show tradition alive for, I think it's close to a decade now. So when their lease came up and all those guys were sick and tired of dealing with all the drunks and all that comes with it, I'm in a local band myself, and we had a big empty basement that we practiced in anyway. We figured, let's see what we can do. So in 2013, we started the Doom Room, and we've been rocking it since then.
Awesome. So that brings me to another question. So what drives you personally to allow a bunch of crusty, drunk metal guys into your home week after week?
It just has to be the love for the heavy music, because they destroy my house every time. But yeah, I got into really heavy music back in probably 2006, 2007, and as I kept getting into it more and wanted to become part of it, I started a band, and then when the opportunity came to start bringing different bands, it just all seemed perfect.
Awesome. Yeah, it seems like without you in the Doom Room, there wouldn't be much opportunity for local metal in the area. So.
Yeah, they don't try to grasp onto it as much as we do. We definitely tried to make it a bigger deal, because there's obviously tons of people that are interested in it. It's just, it's a little in your face. It's a little aggressive. Sometimes we're screaming and people don't know what we're talking about. So it's taken some getting used to for the community.
Oh, it gets really weird, but it's always been a great time over there. So I know there's a lot of shows in the basement, like you mentioned, but like this flyer says, Doom Room invades the Lafayette Theater. Could you describe what your involvement is with the Lafayette Theater?
Yeah. I started working with a couple gentlemen down at the theater who were putting on bigger national acts, and they realized that I was participating in putting on shows myself, so eventually they wanted to see how big our metal scene was and how the extreme community was. So it was actually a year ago. It was a year ago this past weekend. They invited us to do our first show down there, which went great. So we did another show down there last year, and this year they've given us a monthly showcase. So they're really just trying to bring in as much different music as possible, and they're finally open to the idea of extreme music becoming part of the Lafayette scene.
Well, that's awesome, because I mean, there's a lot of fans for this kind of music in the area, and
Certainly.
so is there anything that you like better or worse setting up shows in the theater space compared to the basement?
When we're down at the theater, it's in downtown Lafayette, right across the bridge from Purdue, and it seems to be more inviting. It might be hard to get Grandma to come out to the Doom Room to get in the middle of the mosh pit in the basement, but the idea of going downtown to the historic area, that's very appealing to some people. The house shows, we make sure they're all ages. Everyone's invited, but at the same time, Dad probably doesn't want Susie going down to the Doom Room. So the all ages aspect, the fact that you can get drinks at the bar if you're 21, it's very inviting. There's a big space. They've got the full professional light and sound systems. So we make it sound good in the basement, but the theater makes it sound like we're actually professionals as opposed to a bunch of crazy jackasses hopping around.
So I'll have to get my grandma to come next time there's a show in the theater.
Yeah.
She's not going in that basement.
She should, but she probably won't.
She might get hurt. She's got a brand new hip, so we'll take her to the theater.
Treat her gingerly.
Speaking of other stages, tell me more about, you guys are making an outdoor stage?
Yes, our tree stage. In the backyard of the Doom Room, we've got a huge, crazy-looking tree with a bunch of gnarled-looking limbs and stuff. So we built a stage around it and put some playground ropes in it so you can be performing and swinging through the trees, and there's tire swings. It's like a jungle gym stage.
That sounds magical.
That's the only word I would use to describe it.
It also sounds like somebody could die.
Yeah, we were very concerned about people's safety with the tree stage. We've got the gas tank way too close for what we're trying to do.
What could go wrong?
No, exactly. Definitely getting those Metalocalypse vibes where we accidentally end up killing the entire audience.
Yeah, that'd be an awkward day for the metal community.
We're not trying to kill everybody. That's not part of the deal. But, yeah, so we were trying to debut that this past weekend, but God decided that was the one day it was going to downpour.
Yeah,
so,
pretty bad timing. But are you guys going to be using that outdoor stage in a show in the future?
This summer is going to be the summer of the tree stage.
It sounds great.
It's going to be great.
Let's see here. So, you guys do a lot of things to make these shows feel really professional, not just like in a basement, but feeling like it's part of a community. And for example, some of these flyers, they look great. How did you get involved with the artists that made these?
There's a couple different artists, but yeah, it started out just the different guys that were in our band and a couple of our buddy bands. We would do really crappy Photoshops and have really basic flyers. And after the first year or so, it just came to be that if we're going to try to appeal to people, that we need to make it look more professional. So we started reaching out and trying to make them a little fancier. We tried to go like with the Lafayette theater shows. We make it a comic book theme, just so people know. When you see these posters, it's the Doom Room.
It looks like a real deal. Like you're not about to get murdered in a basement.
Right, definitely.
And that's awesome because as much as the music is aggressive, the people are generally really nice.
Yep.
And I mean, I feel like you could take anybody there, like a grandma or little Susie, or someone that isn't even really interested in metal. But we're gonna go to a quick commercial break right now, and then we'll come back and talk about some of the bands. Hi. Do you like space? Do you like being warm? Then I have just the product for you. The Space Heater. Primary source of heat for astronauts aboard the International Space Station. Each unit draws its power from a tiny bit of space dust brought back by Neil Armstrong himself. Why bother cranking the heat and raising that heat bill when instead you can enjoy the warmth of the cosmos? Buy a space heater today.
Hello. Have you or a loved one ever watched an entire series of a show on Netflix or Hulu too quickly and found yourselves wondering, what do I do now? Have you found yourselves desperately checking the websites every day, hoping that the new season of your favorite show has come out? We know your pain and we can help. Just go to www.thatcan'tbeallofthem.com. Our site has countdowns for when the new seasons of all the major hit shows come out. Again, the site is www.thatcan'tbeallofthem.com.
Hey, we all need a little color in our lives, but some colors just don't cut it. Like green. But there's a solution. Blue. Blue offers a wavelength of light that literally cannot be matched by any other color. So what are you waiting for? Go get something blue today.
So that was some footage from one of the recent shows that I actually had the pleasure of playing in. So Nick, could you tell us anything more about that show?
Yeah, that was the return of Monolith. They're from Northern Indiana. They they style themselves as progressive rock, metal, which just means they play 10 to 20-minute songs that go all over the place. So it's real great having those guys back. The bassist in that band, Ben Rose, is an integral part in the Northern Indiana scene. So he's played in bands around Lafayette for a couple years now, and it was super cool getting those guys back down here. Then Kossuth, the second band that played, that was their first performance ever. That's something I pride ourselves on, is we're willing to let, if you can hold your instrument and somewhat play it in tune with everyone else, we'll probably let you play. So
appreciate it. That's how we got our start too, and we can somewhat play.
Yeah, and then you guys, Car Door Dick Smash, came back and smashed our dicks into the ground. That was awesome.
It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, the last time you guys played was with Zephaniah.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys are from Fort Wayne. They're like, I don't even know what to call them. Definitely power metal.
Something glorious about dragons and wizards.
Yes, tons of songs about wizards and dragons. Those guys doing the dual solos at the same time.
Blew my face off.
Yeah, I'm still feeling that kind of stuff. Yeah, that was a great show.
Yeah.
That was one of 3 shows that we did this April.
As far as Kossuth's first performance, bit of a tongue twister, couldn't even tell. They were great.
They didn't act like that was the first time at all.
They made me want to learn how to play my guitar.
They made me want to be a better musician all around.
Yeah. So touching on that, so not only do you live in the Doom Room, not only do you put on the Doom Room shows, but you're in a band that plays in the Doom Room.
Yes.
Could you tell us more about that band?
Yes. I'm the vocalist in a band called We'd Be. That's We Would Be. We started 2012. We've gone through a couple lineup changes from when we were more of a punky kind of group to now we're pretty extreme heavy metal, melodic metal. Yeah, we consider ourselves the Doom Room's house band. We used to play all the time. We do about a show every 2 months or so, and you bet We'd Be was on the bill. Whether it was trying to go for diversity or we just decided people were sick and tired of hearing us, we've tried to stray away from playing every single show now. But yeah, we definitely got our start at the Hilltop Fortress and the Lafayette underground community. So.
Well, I've seen you guys a couple times, and personally, I'm not sick of you guys yet.
Good.
I think it's pretty awesome. One of your songs is the Rum Gun Salute. Can you explain more about that?
The Rum Gun Salute. At the debut of the first Doom Room, that wasn't our first show, but it was our first CD release show. I had a squirt gun, that I filled up with alcohol. And when I went out on stage to perform, I started getting people in the mouth. And it stuck exceptionally hard. People loved it. And then we decided, let's try to write a song about it, which became The Rum Gun Salute, which is just about 4 minutes of me screaming at the audience about putting liquor in their face, and then I help them out quite a bit. I should have brought it. Why didn't I bring the rum gun?
You should have.
We could have all been getting tipsy.
I've gotten blasted by that gun several times. I'm wondering if there's like a mold situation by now, but...
You know, I don't like telling people this, but for those at home watching, we don't usually wash it until like the next show. Not purposefully at all, but it's, we go out there and we squirt the gun for about a half an hour, and then we're trashed. So we just totally forget to wash the gun 2 weeks later, and we look at it and you're pouring it out, and it's like, that's done some extra fermenting in there. And
I mean, alcohol cleans stuff, right? Maybe.
I think. I've put some water through it. I don't just squirt the old rum in your mouth, if that means anything.
Well, that's a little comforting. Something I've always been curious about is, how did you guys decide on your name?
It derives from the phrase, we'd be something, which is whatever you want it to be. We'd be something if we weren't always drunk. We'd be something if we could play our instruments. Just the allusion to the fact that we could be more if we tried to be.
Right on.
I wish it had something to do with weed, because everyone thinks it has to do with weed. Like, what did you say the name was? Like,
I have to tell people it's
listen.
W-E apostrophe D.
Apostrophe D.
Right.
Although the original logo, I'll admit, the apostrophe was shaped in such a way that it looked like a backwards E. So that didn't help our case. But we're trying to be a little more conservative in Hoosier land.
So we got a couple more minutes talking about the bands. Who is the biggest band that you've gotten to play at the Doom Room so far?
There's a group that's from Lafayette but has reached international acclaim, Gorgasm. I think they refer to themselves as brutal death metal, which is just, they write songs about mutilating people and all sorts of weird ways. But
it's gross stuff.
Yeah, but people all over the world love it. So they've come and played actually in the basement and just wrecked the whole house. We had like 150, 200 people show up to the basement to watch those guys play. But people are really big fans of Thorax. They're from Bloomington area. They're pretty big in the Indiana scene. And then we've got a group from Chicago called Armored Assault.
Yeah.
Those guys are ridiculous, great musicians.
Those guys are really good.
So, yeah, there's so many good bands. We're trying to step up and bring regional to nationally touring bands now, at least to the theater. I can't afford to pay people coming to the basement, but we've talked with quite a few bands.
Awesome. Well, I hope you have more success bringing in regional bands in the future, because it's been a great lineup this year.
Yeah.
So we are going to cut to more commercials. Then when we come back, we're going to talk about an event in the community about comic books.
With Valentine's Day coming up, are you wanting to do something special for that special someone? Well, I have a brand new product for you. With Pillsbury's Valentine's Funfetti Sugar Cookie Mix, you have a cheap and easy alternative to an expensive date. Don't have a significant other? You can always just eat the whole batch yourself. For just $1 and a trip to your local store, you can buy Pillsbury's Valentine's Cookie Mix today and turn your Valentine's Day dreams into a reality. Your special someone will be sure to love these cookies even if they don't love you. Get yours today.
Have you ever felt transported into the plotline of your favorite story, but then were disappointed because you weren't actually experiencing the action in person? Well, do I have the solution for you? Real Scene Books are taking readers places they have never been before. Do you love war stories? Oh, dear goodness. Well, how about a book about trains? Uh-oh. Ah! New titles are being added daily. Pick one up at your local bookstore today.
Hey guys, we got a great show coming up for you tonight. Woo! Bradley Cooper is here. He's going to talk to us about his new film, American Sniper. We have the lovely Miss Jennifer Lawrence, and my main man, Justin Timberlake, is our musical guest. All this and more shenanigans coming your way at 11:30, so be sure to tune in to The Tonight Show. Only on NBC.
So not only does our guest Nick have a lot to do with the local extreme music in the community, but he also was a part in putting together a convention called Tippycon. So Nick, could you tell us what is Tippycon?
Tippycon is the Tippecanoe Comic Convention. We started brainstorming it probably around this time last year. Myself and a gentleman named Alex Cutter. We frequent a lot of the regional conventions such as the Wizard World up in Chicago and the Days of the Dead and Horror Hound. And we decided that we've got, a rather large city here sitting between Indy and Chicago. There's got to be people interested in this stuff. So we decided to reach out to the local comic shops and some local artists and see if we could try to wrangle something together, and it really just snowballed in the best kind of way.
Awesome. What kind of people were involved in putting it all together?
We had Legendary Games, who they've got board games and card games, all sorts of different stuff. They were extremely enthusiastic to jump on board, as well as there were 10 different artists that have worked with Marvel and DC who live in Lafayette and who work in Lafayette, but work for these great big companies. So we reached out to them and we're letting them know that we're trying to get a more active community in the comic, world. So they were very enthusiastic.
Awesome.
We worked with Seema Chowdhury, who owns Carnahan Hall down on Main Street, and is also the owner of Our Motivation for Change, which is an organization I also work for, but just reaches out to try and get people more involved with the arts, be it music or anything else, painting, hooping, just anything that gets people out of their shell a little bit. So we were working with her, and she was the integral part in kind of keeping it all together and getting us involved with all the right people. So it's basically me, Seema, and then Alex. We had our web designer Brett Martin in as well, who dealt with all the website stuff. So
cool. So how did the actual turnout go? Was it
amazing?
Successful?
It was beyond what we thought it would be. We were booking on about 200 people. And we sold out of our 600 wristbands in the middle of the afternoon.
Dang.
So we had kids under 10 got in free, but it was only $5 to get in. It was all day long, and people were just over the top enthused. People came dressed up in their cosplay.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, any interesting costumes that you saw?
We had some stormtroopers. We had some very sexy outfits, and then we had a lot of, just a lot of really cool stuff. There's tons of. Trying to think of all the booths. We had the biggest Doctor Who merchandiser in the country. He set up a booth, so it was about the size of this wall, just full of Doctor Who stuff.
Awesome.
And then other board games and card games, and then the artists actually set up some of their artwork, and they were doing art on the spot. People doing caricatures, face painting, video game tournaments. We had like Super Smash Brothers and Mario Kart tournaments. And that all seemed to go pretty well, so.
Awesome.
It was great.
So is this something that you guys are going to try to put on next year, in the years to come?
Yeah, we actually made the moves to trademark our name and to form an LLC. We recently hit a tiny bit of a snag, apparently.
Oh?
Apparently. We were Tippycon. There was another organization apparently called Tippycon, and they've been doing events for several years now, and they claimed we had not done our market research, which it just appears to me that we didn't consider what they were doing in our market. But so they reached out to us after we'd reached out to them asking if they wanted to help. And they responded by saying, actually, you can't use our name, that name at all. It's too close to our name, and we'd actually like you to give us a couple $1,000s for doing this name under our name.
Oh.
So while we more or less, as professionally as possible, told them to stick it, we changed the name. So henceforth, we'll be moving forth as Laffycon. So now we're not Tippycon centric, we're Lafayette. But yeah, we definitely plan on moving forward. I think we've already got the dates for next year too. I think we're going to make it a 2-day event instead of the one. And then I've already started reaching out to bands for the after party, because that was a lot of the fun for me too. Is they let me, as the Doom Room, do the after party.
Could you tell us a little bit more about that after party?
Yeah, we got Indiana fantasy metal legends Loringard, who took a hiatus the past couple years. They just recently got back on the horse, so to speak. And they came and just destroyed. There's 6 guys, and they do, like I said, epic kind of fantasy metal.
Kind of like in theme with the comic books and the fantasy going all day.
Yeah, they actually just finished writing their first novel. They've got a novel
Really?
that is based on the lyrics of the Loringard stuff. So they've been working on Loringard for years now. And so they've been working on the book in that hiatus. And I hear now they're working on a board game and an arcade game. So I'm just like, okay, you guys are above and beyond. Then we had a band called Night of the Round, who was a Final Fantasy metal band.
Perfect.
They just take songs from the video game series and make them super heavy. And it was great.
Why not?
And then our openers were the local sex metal legends, Boner Joe 6. That, I think the name says it all. But those guys are great. They get up all up in the costume and are super energetic and play your favorite, they call them sex metal songs from the 80s. Lots of Bon Jovi. I almost called him Boner Jovi because the name is so funny. But yeah, everyone really responded well to that lineup. So I'm excited to see who we can bring next year. I think we're going to bring a Mega Man band.
Oh, awesome.
So pretty excited about that.
Cool. Any changes that you guys want besides moving it to 2 days? Anything you noticed this time that you want to do differently next year?
We think that we're going to move it to a bigger area. We had, in the weeks leading up to it, once we started getting more coverage, we just had an overwhelming amount of people reaching out to us, wanting to be involved. And while we were able to accommodate it more than fine this year, if we get to continue the momentum that we've got from this year, I feel like we're just not going to have enough room. So, yeah, besides us, there was an event at the theater the night before, so we had to go in really early and set things up. So if I can change that, I will try to make it to where we can have just a little more time to set up and add the nuances, because we wanted to make it, we wanted to turn the bar into like a Star Wars cantina, and we wanted to fill the walls with posters and stuff, and we filled about half the walls with poster stuff, and we had some Star Wars stuff around the bar. So we didn't get to go all out like we wanted to, which is what we're hoping next year will remedy.
Yeah, well, it seems like you guys did a great job. I'm looking forward to it in the years to come. Is there any final closing statements you'd like to say before we run out of time here?
Just keep looking out for us. Visit our website, Doom Room Lafayette.
Right on. This is Nick Maxson, and this has been Musical Chairs, and we will see you next time.